So you think you've watched every isekai out there? Well, let's see if I can prove that wrong. Number 1. KIBA. This anime begins by following two friends who live inside a dystopian city. Now Noah is an upstanding citizen. He is smart, calm-mannered, and thinks things through, but he is also diseased, causing his body to be very frail. On the other hand, Zed is a hot-blooded criminal who is currently running from the police. Anyways, while evading capture, Zed finds a magical-looking portal which he quickly dives through in order to escape. When he comes to, he is standing in the middle of a battlefield between two magic users, aka shardcasters. He then learns that he himself is a shardcaster, and he has the ability to summon a wind spirit. KIBA primarily follows Zed as he learns what it means to be a shardcaster in this fantasy world, but his friend Noah hasn't simply given up or forgotten about him. I'm rather surprised at how little I see this anime get recommended. By no means would I call KIBA top tier, but it's definitely not terrible. I mean, it holds its own when compared to some of the lower quality isekai that people fan over nowadays. The next anime is really cool, as it's both an isekai and a reverse isekai. Number 2. Arata The Legend. Arata Hinohara is your typical high school boy who is just trying to keep his head down and enjoy his simple life. In a parallel world, there is another boy named Arata who just found out that he must pretend to be a female princess in order to save his entire clan. As expected, this plan doesn't work out, but the reason it failed was entirely unexpected. During the coronation, the current princess's own bodyguards stage a coup and strike her down. Her bodyguards then pin Arata as the traitor who killed the princess. Fantasy world Arata flees into a magical forest, which causes him and modern-day Arata Hinohara to switch bodies. Arata Hinohara now finds himself in the parallel world as a wanted criminal, but luckily he's able to wield a legendary weapon known as a Hayagami. Arata Hinohara sets out to restore order to this fantasy world, while Arata attempts to live in modern-day Japan, where he seeks to confront the bullies that were plaguing Hinohara. Arata the Legend has a really cool and interesting premise, but it's actually very meh. Everything about it, from the characters to the world and the plot, just barely missed the mark, leaving something to be desired. If you've watched everything else out there, then give Arata the Legend a try. But other than that, I would say find something else. So, is it safe to assume that all of you have watched Grimgar? If you have, then be sure to check out the video where I go over what happened to Haruhiro and his party after the anime ended. Number 3. King from Now On. Just as you'd expect from an isekai, this anime begins in modern-day Japan with a teenage boy named Yuri Shibuya. Upon seeing a classmate being bullied, Yuri steps in to try and alleviate the situation. His classmate, however, uses this opportunity to run away, which causes Yuri to deal with the bullies himself. It turns out that in a 4v1, you don't have much of a chance, so this ends with Yuri getting his head shoved into a toilet. Somehow, though, the toilet turns into a portal which sucks Yuri in, spitting him out into a fantasy world. Now at first, he is completely unable to understand or talk with anyone, and everyone seems to be afraid of him for an unknown reason. All of a sudden, 3 guys riding horses show up saying they've come to rescue Yuri. It's after being taken away by this group of people that Yuri finds out that he is actually destined to be the Demon King of this world. As you can imagine, Yuri doesn't exactly give off the vibe of royalty, and due to this, there is quite a few people who refuse to accept him as king, and this leads to Yuri participating in a duel in order to prove himself as king. Due to his magic, Yuri is able to win the duel, and thus he begins learning how to be a proper demon king. King from Now On is definitely not your typical power fantasy harem isekai, but it's still pretty dang good. I mean, it kind of has to be in order to get 78 dubbed episodes. There's some older versions of this next one, but I just want to talk about the newest. Number 4. Tenchi Muyo, War on Geminar. Due to her father's death, Lashara Asu, the 28th, has just risen to power. However, she's still very young and is currently on her way to the Holy Land. Before she gets there, her ship comes under attack by two unknown invaders, both piloting sacred mechanoids. One of her attackers turns out to be Kenshi Masaki, a boy who was kidnapped and brought to this world where he was told that he can't return home to Earth until he assassinates Queen Lashara. Kenshi overpowers Lashara's bodyguards, but he renders his mech unusable in the process. And as he confronts Lashara face to face, we learn that it is extremely rare to find a male who can pilot a sacred mechanoid. Then due to his skill and proficiency, Lashara orders that he be captured alive. Kenshi then has little to no choice but to become Lashara's servant, as he accompanies her to the Holy Land where he will hone his skills as a sacred mechanoid pilot. As previously mentioned, it is rare to find a male pilot, so Kenshi turns out to be one of the few boys at the academy, and due to this fact, alongside his impressive skills, he becomes somewhat of a celebrity at this school. However, he soon learns that the harem of women surrounding him is the least of his worries, as the same group responsible for abducting him is now cooking up a new scheme. I don't really have much to say about War on Geminar, other than that it has 45-minute episodes. At a first glance, it seems more or less just your typical overpowered main character harem ecchi isekai, but with a mecha spin on it. However, this anime is rated fairly well, with a MyAnimeList score of 7.8, though personally, I couldn't even finish the first episode. Now I can already see the comments, so let's just get this out of the way. Isekai literally means different world. Isekai doesn't mean a boy has to get trapped in a fantasy world that functions just like a video game where he is overpowered and gains a harem. That is a trope, not an isekai. Number 5. 11 Eyes. Kakeru and Yuka were both orphaned at a young age and grew up together in the same orphanage. Yuka ended up being adopted, while Kakeru did not, but even so, they were still able to attend the same school. Then one day, while walking to the mall together, they witnessed the sky turn red and the moon turn black. This bleak new world is exactly the same as Earth, except for the absence of people. After exploring this world for a while, they run into monsters that I can only describe as tentacle slug demons. But just before they are captured, they open their eyes to find themselves back in the normal world. They go about their daily lives thinking maybe that was just all a bad dream. That is, until it happens again. This time, they meet another human who has a special power and is fighting back against the slug demons. Kakeru and Yuka come to find out that besides themselves, there is 4 other humans who know about this world, and one of them looks just like Kakeru's dead sister. All 6 humans begin working together to unravel the mysteries hidden within the world of the Red Knight. 11 Eyes is a unique anime. I wouldn't necessarily call it good, but at the same time, it's the only anime on this list that I enjoyed enough to possibly finish. Now, if you enjoyed this video, then be sure to like and subscribe. Also, did you know Fyrex is a pretty cool guy? Thanks for watching everyone, and I hope to see you next time.